Listen here, girl. I know you think it's a game, but it is absolutely not. Okay, this is the energy supplement from Just Move Supplements. That's right. It's damn near all gone, girl, and that's because I had to get that energy up so I can complete the workout, so I can give y'all this body, this transformation, get into it, okay? And I'm done working out now, so that's why we're moving on to the protein shake. Oh yes, it's already in there, girl. It's already made right here. This is the mixture of the banana pudding, the chocolate cake, and the buttercream cupcake. And you really want to be fancy, you can go ahead and add that blueberry muffin if that's what you want to do, girl. But for me, it's these three right here, okay? You put that with some almond milk, you mix it all up in honey, okay? Your muscles have gained life, new energy, agility. Get into it, okay? Just Move Supplements. Thank you very much. Hold up, Chief. Okay, don't forget about that TLC NutriBurst to get that multivitamin probably, because we all need a little extra. And child, if you want that sea moss that go down smooth, don't come up rough, okay? Get into the TLC Nautica sea moss. Yes, get that from me. And child, if your stomach hurt and you need to move some things around so you can be free, okay, go ahead and get that ISOT down below in the description box. Get it all from me. Come on in, come on in, come on in, not come on in, not come. Sorry, y'all know I'm weird, whatever.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. So let's go ahead. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. Okay, follow me on Instagram and let's get into the video, right?
Oh, girl. Can y'all hear me now? Didn't I tell? I literally was just saying I've been experiencing technical difficulties. You can hear me now? Okay. And because I am ever so patient, and I hope y'all are being patient with me, I'm sorry about that. How is the sound? Because I had to restart everything and I thought I saw my sound just fine. And then, ooh, girl, they can't hear you. Can y'all hear me? Is it good? All right, let's start over. Bitch, let's start over. Okay, can we start over? Listen. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Now, come on in. Now, come. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm weird. Whatever.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl BondyBlue. Okay, follow me on Instagram and let's get into the video. Right?
All right, everybody, what's going on? It's your girl BondyBlue, and whether there are technical difficulties or not, bitch, I'm going to give you the best I got, Anita Baker. Anita Baker. Give you the best that I got, baby. All right, okay, so we are finally back, you guys, for another Now That We're Grown. And I know we have not had one in a very long time. I'm so sorry, but this is one of those things that is really the artistry and creativity that go behind what I do requires me to feel passionate, to watch it, to feel it, and then feel like, okay, I can make a Now That We're Grown off this. I felt so entertained and so invested in what was happening that I feel like I could come to y'all with it. And that's what happened. So during the holidays, I always watch Have Plenty. It's literally one of my favorite movies. It's one of the first movies I downloaded on Amazon Prime as soon as Amazon Prime started streaming movies for you to actually own, like in your library. This was one of the first ones that I got because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And as I was saying, when I thought y'all was hearing me, but y'all wasn't, the Now That We're Grown series, if you are new here, is a series that I do where we look at old movies and television shows that we love and we've wazaya, okay? We look at it, we dissect it, girl. You know what I mean? Kind of like you would in English class. I don't know if y'all remember or if y'all had English classes like this, because this was mostly in my college days. But I loved a nasty old literature class where you read stuff and then you go back in and look through it all. And I hate the fact that the word that I'm trying to remember in this moment is escaping me. Analyze. Analyze. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, mind. Okay. Analyze. I like to analyze whatever the media is, the movie, the book, the television, like whatever it is, I like to analyze it. What is it trying to tell me? Because as we've learned throughout the years, all of the media platforms are trying to show you something in one way or another, whether it's an interpersonal relationship, whether it's the the grander scheme of things, how the government is really, controlling this and controlling that and all of those things, right? So to me, Now That We're Grown is one of my favorite things to do. And I love this series, and I'm so happy that y'all love this series as well. And there's a whole playlist available for you. I have already done so many of them, but just to shoot off a few, because these are my favorite movies: The Five Heartbeats, What's Love Got to Do with It, Soul Food, what else? Enough, um, Love Jones, Boomerang. Like there have been so many. There have been so many. Okay. So if you are new here, thank you so much for coming through. I hope you enjoy it. Okay. And let me pull up my notes so we can get into it. Because as I said, and y'all didn't hear me, I take copious notes when it comes to Now That We're Grown, because I really want us to understand what was going on. And my favorite thing about doing this is that these are some of my favorite movies, but whenever I do the Now That We're Grown series, I always end up seeing things that I did not see before or understanding something that I did not understand before. And I was Googling a lot of things. Oop, shit. Yes, Jason's lyric. I really should have got my phone stand from downstairs, but whatever, girl. Okay, Jason's lyric. I've done. Y'all can name them in the comments. Those you've seen or those that are your favorites for people. Go ahead and comment that in the comments. Also, as a reminder to everybody, please subscribe to BondyBlue Bites, my other YouTube channel. Subscribe because I do my lives in, short form there. And also this Saturday, I'm going to be premiering my Bell Collective recaps from season 5, which were all behind my paywall. And since the season is over, I am releasing them on BondyBlue Bites. Please be sure to go over there and check it out, especially if you are doing nothing Saturday from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. If you bored, girl, you need something to watch. You watch Bell Collective. You wanted to know what was going on because you saw all the drama online. Go ahead and check out my recaps. Been edited and put up for you. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into Have Plenty. Have Plenty also, just before we even get into it, I want y'all to know that the soundtrack is off the chain. But more specifically, it's because it is a Kenny Edmonds and a Tracy Edmonds production. The movie itself was produced by Babyface and his wife back in the day when they had this very successful production company. And this film was released through their distribution company, basically. So it stars Christopher Scott Chariot, who is also the main character, who is also the writer. This is a true story. And this is about one weekend, I guess in the 90s, where he kicked it with a girl he had a crush on from high school that became his friend. And just how that was kind of like a moment that changed his life, so to speak. Okay. And Shanoa Maxwell as Haviland Savage, and Robin Lee as Lee Darling. We love us some Robin Lee, girl. She also was in Deliver Us from Eva. I also did And Now That We're Grown on Deliver Us from Eva, so check that out. And also here at the bottom, we have what's her name on the show? Caroline, Tammy Catherine Jones. Okay, which I have not seen her in anything else, but she played this role down. Okay, Color Purple, Ease Bayou. Yes, come on, get into it. So let's go ahead and start. At the very beginning of the film, there's a quote on the screen, and it is a Bible verse from Philippians 4:12. And it says, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. And honestly, I feel like I need to pull up the whole thing so I can see exactly what it says at the end, because I'm like, what is the secret? What is the secret? What's the secret, Philippians? Okay. Philippians. Hold up, y'all. I'm about to pull it up for y'all. Listen, I told y'all we've Wadaya, girl. We analyze. So I need to see what that means. Okay. Let's go to it. Philippians 4:12. Oh, these are all of the different versions. Okay. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or empty, with empty or little. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I think that's the end of that. Is that it? Is it the Lord? Cross reference it. Okay. Is it the Lord? Is that the answer, y'all? Is it the Lord? Mm. Honestly, I think a lot of the times when people say God, they mean themselves, knowledge of themselves, love for themselves. Because essentially, I feel like the answer to being content in in any and every situation is loving and enjoying yourself so much that no matter where you are, there you are. And I think sometimes people use that as a negative thing, right? Like they say you're going to carry your problems with you. You can run all day, but if you are the problem, those same issues are going to show up. You're going to choose the same type of people if you don't learn whatever the lesson is to break the cycle of going through it, right? So I think when people say, God, if you're not thinking any deeper than, oh God, this savior outside of myself, this character in a book that I've been read a whole bunch of times, instead of thinking of it as a connection to yourself and who you are and knowing who you are. That's what I think it really is. To know God is to know yourself. It is to know how you are in most situations, whether positive or negative, and to be okay with that, to love that, to rejoice in the good and bad of who you are, to be in a state of evolving and working on things, but also knowing one can never be perfect. Therefore, to love where you are in the moment, which in the way of learning who you are, loving who you are in the moment, I feel like that helps you enjoy the journey versus always seeking an outcome. Because when you're always seeking an outcome, when you get to that outcome, it will feel vapid. It will feel empty. It won't have the big feeling you thought it was going to have, because you really needed to just enjoy the journey as you were going along anyway, in order to fully enjoy that moment. You know what I'm saying? And I think if you get me on that, that's what the whole crux of this story is. He was always, Lee, the main character, is looking for something. Haviland looking for something. And by the end of the movie, what it seems like they are posturing that they have found is this new understanding for themselves. That way they can understand and treat each other better. But is that really the case? Is that really the case? I think that this is really one of the best underrated movies for so many reasons. Specifically because it can have a movie full of basically people that nobody know and it'd be such a favorite, but also for it to be a real story and have so much thoughtfulness in how this man looked at himself, looked at his life, and just the people around him. Like, you really were assessing everybody in such a deep emotional way. He looked a mess. His life is a mess. But up here, something that he had within him was so valuable, regardless of the fact that he was homeless. That was another part of this. Lee was extremely intelligent and thoughtful and emotionally intelligent on some level. And it was so funny how a part of the what the fuck is going on here of the movie is all of the women are drawn to him. And I think this movie is such a good timepiece because it draws on how a lot of us that were coming up during that time were also being socialized to accept Black men not having a lot financially and sticking with them until they actually got something, and then being able to reap the benefits of that. And this movie kind of displayed that as well. Haviland already has her shit together. Haviland has the apartment. Haviland has the good job. Haviland has another man that's an option for her that has a lot of money, but is not really a good person. So financially, especially when you're in your mid to late 20s, people, they're like 29 at this point, you are striving for success because that is what you have been raised to strive for. And so achieving financial success is very important. So once she's achieved that for herself, it doesn't make sense for her to be in a relationship with somebody who is so insecure about who they are. Even if they are all these great things, they're so insecure about it. They can't help but to try to knock down and humble you. And it's because they want you so bad and they feel like they have to keep knocking you down so that they can reach you. All of that. I don't know if y'all have been having some of these same type of conversations as it pertains to like the stories we see on social media with a lot of women feeling that way, feeling that they have to be humbled by some man, in order for that man to feel like he can like grab her from where she is. Cause right now she's too out of reach. This movie is like a part of why I think we feel the way we do and think the way we do as it pertains to that. So let's get into it for real. But I definitely wanted to just kind of lay out how even the Bible verse linked in with the story. I never thought about it before until I was actually sitting here making my notes. So let's start. We see a home video of Haviland Savage being recorded by her fiance, Michael. He asked her to show a little leg and lift up her coat, and then they start making out on camera. And then we see that Lee is sitting on her sofa watching this home video. Why? First of all, you're going through her stuff. Let's start there. But second of all, why are you punishing yourself like that? It's a theme. A theme with deep men is that I feel like on some level they punish themselves. I'll never forget my mom telling me a story about how my dad, there was a news story that really pissed him off, and it was something personal, and it pissed him off. And so he taped it to the mirror so that every morning when he was brushing his teeth, he would be able to look at it and see it. And I would have wanted to ask, why do you feel like you need to stay mad about that? And I know the simple answer, but in his mind, I would love to have known, why do you need a reminder to be mad about that? Because that's what that was. And to me, that's you being a glutton for punishment. You want a reminder of something that upsets you. Why? Why? I think at some point you have to ask men why they enjoy the negative feelings so much. Not just men, but this is something specific that I think goes on with men. Women run from their pain. And the only way they will enjoy pain is if it comes with a little bit of good. Men will dwell in the complete nothingness of something. You know what I mean? Or the whatever that negative feeling is. And so I thought about that. I was like, him sitting on the sofa watching this video of her and Michael kissing and him being, them being engaged when he's in love with her. You want to be reminded that she's not yours. It really it be so deep, y'all. It be so deep. But she calls and she asks how her cat and her plants are doing. And he asks how her fiance is doing. And she says, well, I don't know how he's doing, but when I see one of his women on the street, I'll ask. And that was some shade, but that was to let us know that at this moment, them people are not together. And also to let us know that Michael, 40 ounces of love, is a habitual cheater. That's what him do, girl. Him cheat. Okay. She then tells him where, it's the new year and it's New Year's Eve. So if he wants to bring a date up to her place, then, she ain't got a problem with it. Just don't wreck it. And he said, look, I don't have a date. So she invites him to come to DC from Jersey for a New Year's get together at her mother's house. On his way there, he sees this woman at a gas station, y'all. And this is such a quintessential Black people moment, right? You ever been at a gas station and a nigga, flirting with you and like you just want to get your gas and go? Like it's cold outside. Ain't nobody trying to flirt with you niggas. Like, why are you like, this is not a moment for that. And also I feel like a lot of times women get aggravated because they feel like they can't make eye contact. So when this woman rolls her eyes so hard, you low-key kind of want to be like, damn, bitch, all he did was wave. Like all he did was smile and wave. Why are you rolling your eyes so hard? And I'm like, now as a grown woman, back then I felt sorry for him in that moment when I was a kid. Now that I'm an adult, I understand that as a woman, you don't make eye contact for this exact reason. You will look everywhere but in a man's face because he feels like as soon as you give him eye contact from across some type of space, that gives him the opening to flirt with you or to come talk to you. And now you have to deal with somebody else's energy when you really don't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Exactly. So you roll your eyes to let them know, no. And it's crazy that you have to be that mean in order for them to lay off. You can't be nice. But what I've noticed is you be too mean and them niggas try to hurt you. So I've always, Southern woman my way out of most of these things. No, that's all right. No, thank you. All right. You smile and you get the hell out of there. You move around. But it was just something I noticed in that moment. And also, why are you smiling and waving at this woman? You living out your car. You on your way to your friend's house because you ain't got nowhere to stay. So he gets to the house, and it is a modern style mansion with an intercom system. Hav tells him, and we're going to refer to Haviland as Hav. Hav tells him to watch what he says about her mom and about her sister and husband who are coming to the house because they're fighting. This is a quintessential moment, right? This is a real moment that really kind of reflects Haviland's personality because Haviland is one of those fake people that it will talk shit about everybody behind their back, but won't say it to their face. On some level, that's Haviland because
The first thing she tells him to be wary of is don't talk shit about my mom because there are intercoms everywhere. Because you talk shit about your mom, right? Just like you talk shit about your friends when they're not around. Just like you talk shit about your sister and her husband when they're not around. Probably some, low-key jealousy about the fact that your younger sister got married before you. You're going to act like that's not like a big deal, but your sister is newly married, only been married for a few months at this point. You were engaged, and the man that you're engaged to is a public figure, and I think it was on a magazine, Jet Ebony, somebody was talking about how Michael and Jada Pinkett was together. So like it's like public knowledge that is being cheated on by this man. So I do feel like on some level you talk shit about people as a way of being because you are fake, but also you were being somewhat envious of your sister's situation and trying to fuck it up. Low key, y'all. So we're gonna get into that. That's why I like Lee's relationship with Haviland, because he kept checking her, and it was, even though he was intending, and a lot of the times, and we're about to get into it, he intends to humble her, and it comes from a place of his own insecurity. But then there are also times when she needed somebody who didn't care enough to check her because she was wrong, and nobody in the room would have the balls to check her. You choosing needy, weak friends who just go along with whatever you say. And your little sister is somebody that's been looking up to you since she came into the world. So you're used to being around people who are going to placate and validate your bullshit. Lee is the opposite of that. So I do appreciate that about their relationship. So they sit and go through a picture book, girl. Shit that you used to do back before cell phones, girl. Oh, okay. Sitting down, going through a picture album, girl. All right. And she's like, oh, we were at Eddie Murphy's house. We were at David Deacon's house. We were, Quentin Tarantino. Like, she was making it a point to name drop all of these celebrities that she's been hanging around. Mind you, her mom is an entertainment lawyer. That's how she knows Michael. Okay, that's how she met Michael, the fiance. And he is like, listen, I don't give a damn about no Eddie Murphy's house. I don't give a damn about no Quentin Tarantino. I don't give a shit about none of them people you trying to name drop to me, Haviland. And she says, listen, oh my God, listen here, money. It ain't even that deep. Why is it whenever I start talking about people that are successful, you start, acting like this? She says, I am one of the few people that is not charmed by your disassociative artist bullshit. Are you not? Are you not? She said that, but essentially, yes, she is. That's exactly what she loves about him. His disassociated artist bullshit. And y'all, I recognize myself so much in her. There is something about men or people, period, that show up like they're so confident and they're so in their own space that they really can't be bothered by most people. They're doing their own thing. They're reading their own books. They're making their music, whatever's going on. But they don't have this overly emotional reaction to shit at first, right? But then as you get to know them and you find out they have all of this shit, like all of this emotion that's underneath. And a lot of that will come out towards a woman they're attracted to, like passion. And, you like that. It's something about a person that is low key in public, but in private, they give you all of this passion that seems to be absent when they're in front of other people. At first, there is something intoxicating about that for some reason. But eventually you find out that it's their way of tapping in and out. And it's manipulative because it means that at some point they will use how they know you're responding to their passionate behavior to manipulate you because they're not always in that space. It's passive aggressiveness, which I hate. But as an overall personality, I feel like I always encounter these I'm too cool for school motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? That eventually end up showcasing themselves to be extremely insecure and overly emotional. It's very weird. Anyway, but she does like that because that's the thing she likes about Michael. Michael is an artist. Michael is so deep in thought. You know what I'm saying? But Michael also goes back and forth between emotions in a very manipulative way. And it makes you feel as if the feelings that he shows you aren't connected to anything real inside him. He just knows that this is what you want to hear. And so that's what he presents to you. So on some level, yeah, you absolutely are attracted to that. He says that she's the one being defensive. Then she tells him, oh, we did go to this barbecue. So she continues to do it. He just told her, I can't stand when you do all of this grandstanding and name dropping in front of me. And then she turns around and does the same thing, drops another name. And he goes, clink. Girl, okay? But it was a great conversation that depicted how their relationship can go. And I feel like there's something else to be said about banter. I think there's something else to be said about somebody that can give you back and forth kind of banter and conversation. And I think heightened emotions can drive you one way or another. Y'all know how they say there's a thin line between love and hate, because at the end of the day, like the highest form of emotion can go either way. You can either love somebody a lot or you can hate them a lot or be really angry with them. They say the actual opposite of love is indifference, because you don't care. That's why I tell y'all that whenever Princess or any of these other women are acting out of character about a man, regardless to what you're talking about, it is because they still care. And even if they say they don't, that's how the man is gonna see that. Ray J is going to look at Princess and be like, you're not really over me. All I got to do is play this game a little bit longer and you going to come back. Because look at you. You mad, going through my phone. You slapping bitches because they dancing with me. And we're not supposed to be together. Why do you care? Okay? I'm just being real. So I do feel like there's something to be said about, yes, love a little banter about the tension that they're building up. And girl, child, the older you get, the more you love about a good tension building relationship. Build, okay? Listen, Caroline, okay? Caroline, Ashote, okay? Caroline is the home girl up here at the top, okay? Hold up, I have another graphic for y'all. I have another graphic for you guys. All right. Caroline is our girl right here in the middle. Okay, that's Caroline. Caroline comes in speaking French and pushing her hand out for Lee to kiss. Enchanté, Lee plenty. And he just shakes that shit. Not kissing your hand, bitch. Then she asks, he really shouldn't kiss her hand because she's a weirdo. Okay. Meaning like you don't know where her hand has been. Then she asks what he does, because they sit down and start to talk, and she comes at him like real disrespectful straight off rip, if I'm thinking about it now, because she says, what do you do when you aren't babysitting Hav's cat? Like, what the fuck? Which was shade. So he tells her she has lipstick on her teeth. Like he caught it. So he like, you got a little lipstick on your teeth. She didn't have any lipstick on her teeth. Anyway, but he says, oh yes, what do I do? I'm a writer. He's like, I'm a homeless writer, basically, starving artist. He had a book deal that fell through and he was going to get a new apartment, but because the book deal fell through, he didn't sign the lease, so he had nowhere to go, and he doesn't have enough money anymore, and he's a teacher's assistant, so he has a job, but he doesn't have any money, so he reads and he writes. A real starving artist, somebody that's completely, they have nothing, so they put themselves into what they do until it turns into something. It's a story you hear a lot, but it's kind of what works. People will look at you sideways about it, but if you really got a talent and you focus completely on that talent, it'll probably grow to fruition for you. It's just when people are not really good at shit, like niggas that want to rap for their whole life but not really good rappers, or they don't have some other component that you need to do that successfully, and instead of seeking out ways to make that happen for themselves, they kind of get stuck, and then it's everybody else's fault that you didn't make it, that type of thing. But anyway, I never spoke to a homeless person before. She did say that, like, she's definitely, this is a upper class Black situation. It's upper middle. It's upper middle. If you know anything about upper middle is we struggled in our 20s and our early 30s. By the time we get to our 40s and 50s, we're rich. Our children went to good schools. Our children went to colleges. Their friends went to colleges. Everybody is, intelligent for the most part. You know what I'm saying? But it's also a black family. So I'm sure there's the other side of the tracks. But this side of the family shows up as bourgeoisie, okay, if you will. So she asked him what he does whenever he wants to go on a date since he's living in his car. And he's like, I don't date because I'm homeless. And she was like, well, you're right. I mean, you poor, living in your car. Shit, I wouldn't date you either. Yeah, exactly. So why are you in this man's face? You know why? Because for a lot of women, any attractive man is an option for them to fuck. And it's vice versa with men. I think that's something we need to think about socially. Why is everybody always an option for you to fuck? Everybody's not always an option for you to fuck. Stop. Like, stop, bro. Stop going at people with that all the time. Anyway, but he says, yeah, so you know what they say, no woman, no cry. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. If you don't have a woman, then you're not deeply emotionally invested. Therefore, there's no reason for your feelings to get hurt. That's how most men feel. Okay. She tells Haviland that, oh, isn't he a sarcastic bastard? She says, Hav says, no job. And yeah, I'm sorry, my notes got messed up. Anyway, she says, no money, no job means whack. Whack, 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 whack. Do what I do, ignore him, basically. And she said, well, why did you invite the brother? And Hav says, I invited him for charity. No, that's not why. You invited him because you like to be around him. You like to be around him. But he's not a real prospect for you to date. But you like to have him around. You like to enjoy the banter. You like, he's nice to look at. Like for 90s, please. Please. This nigga? Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's type in the 90s, please. Anyway. Tall, light skin, good looking. Yeah. Soft on the eyes. Caroline wants to know if he's gay, but Haviland insists that he's not. That's another thing. Just because a man doesn't want you, that doesn't mean that he's gay. I need y'all to stop that because that was basically what she did. He don't want me, so he's gay. Like, he's not gay. And in Haviland's mind, she knows he's not gay, but Haviland knows that he's in love with her. So I also feel like Haviland was getting a lot of enjoyment out of watching Lee rebuff everybody. Like, she was really, I think that was turning her on. That was another part of the tension that she really enjoyed, that he was not pressed and he wasn't trying to fuck every woman in the room, unlike Love 40 over here. Okay, Pete. So downstairs, Lee, okay, Robin Lee, Hav's sister is introducing herself to Lee and making googly eyes at him. She asked if he's in love with Hav because most guys are. Why would he be any different? He says, because I have taste. And he says, I don't chase after women. And she was like, what? They chase after you? And he was like, no. You know what I mean? Nobody chase after me. That's why I don't have no woman. And then he makes a joke and falls out of a chair. So that was another thing you saw a lot. This very slapstick comedy thing that he would do where it was self-deprecating. And that was something that Hav was actually talking about at the same moment that he's doing it downstairs with Lee. He is self-deprecating. And I don't know what that is, but I don't know if y'all paid attention to it. You ever notice like men that, comedians, they throw themselves around, throw their bodies around? Something about that is something going on inside here. Like, do you think your body is, you think you don't matter? You think your body means nothing? You think none of this means anything, so I'm gonna just throw it around. And I'm only thinking about that because when I was young, my little, not my little, but my cousin when we were little used to just throw himself against the wall to make me laugh, just to get a laugh out of me. Child, we're gonna have to talk about that one day because I think that goes to something deeper. Like why are you always trying to make me laugh? like to the point where you were throwing yourself against the wall. Jermaine, we'll have to talk about that. Anyway, but it did make me Google it. Like, this is one of the things that I stopped to Google. Like, why do people constantly make self-deprecating jokes? Okay. And shout out to the Google because of the Gemini thing and Google chat, they'll give you an answer to anything. Let me put it in there. Okay. Why do people make self-deprecating jokes? Okay. It's not on this one. I guess it's only on my phone. The Gemini thing. Anyway, it says people often put themselves down for a variety of psychological and social reasons. Low self-esteem is the main one. Individuals who struggle with low self-esteem may have a negative self-image and feel unworthy or incapable, leaving them to engage in self-deprecating remarks. And that's what he did a lot throughout the entire film. I don't know if y'all were paying attention to that, but he definitely did that throughout the entire film. So Hav is upstairs talking about how self-deprecating Lee is and how he turns into a hater whenever she speaks about people who are doing better than him. Caroline then decides that she's going to make a move on him. She got on a $500 titty top, and Haviland says, "Girl, I hope it was worth it because you sure ain't got no titties." But Hav says he's a good brother, but they just have a different swerve going on. So he's all hers. So Caroline is going to make the move on him. And this is women who are in a certain area of their lives. They got their own shit for the most part. Women like Carolyn and Haviland. But if a man doesn't have money, but you're attracted to him, he's viable to fuck. Have a good New Year's, girl. I was talking to a lot of my homegirls, and for the New Year's, a lot of my homegirls was outside making out with people they ain't know. I mean, literally, like maybe 2 or 3 of my homegirls, and they know of each other, but they have never met, were literally telling me how for New Year's, child, they was out there making out with some type of man they just met. And I'm not a judgy friend because I know how both of my, how my friends are as people. Like, they're not really just out here with their shit like that. But at the end of the day, girl, they have been caged and the cats are out. Have a good time, girl. Have fun. All right. So I feel like, they ain't nobody, but this is a different circumstance. This is a house party. This is mutual friends. It's definitely given New Year's. If I like him enough, we get drunk enough, he can get this coochie. I ain't got to be with him. But we'll see what the dick do. Okay. Because as we all know in this community, bummy niggas have great dick. We've learned this. Okay. Anyway, so when Haviland said that she and Lee have a different swerve going on, Caroline then comments, yeah, he kind of said the same thing about you. And she kind of looked at her like she got mad. And I was like, yeah, you always want him to be pining after you. It's something like, it's a high off of knowing that he wants you and you can control how that goes. Like, if you really wanted to tap him, you could. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a power in that as a woman. I'm not gonna lie, child. It's a fun one, okay? But you gotta be very careful with that power, because that's why we don't make eye contact with niggas. That's another reason. When you know you the type of woman that can like control the sexual energy in a relationship, you can't just be out here making eye contact with everybody. Like, you gotta be real to yourself, girl. You gotta be very choosy about the men you choose to play those types of games with, okay? Anyway, so Lee's husband Felix gets there. Child, Lee's husband Felix, big fine nerdy nigga. My God. Okay. They talk about how Hav and Lee's mom has to concede to Frances Rossi for a position that she lost out on. The mama is also is engaged, and for Christmas, we never saw her, but we heard her over the intercom. She was going to her boyfriend's house for the New Year's, girl. Okay, her fiance's house. I was like, well, all right, come on, mama, with the fiance. Hav says that she's gonna get something to eat, and she asked if Lee wants to come. She just asked Lee. She didn't ask nobody else. She asked Lee. Okay. And he was like, sure. Also, it's his car. He's driving her everywhere. I'm guessing because they all live in Jersey and New York, it's a lot of train riding, and people don't really have cars like that. At least they don't have cars like that. So Lee is the only one with a car. So he's driving everybody everywhere. So I'm sorry, y'all. Somebody just text me. Have says she's going to get something to eat. Ask Lee if he wants to come. Caroline asks if she can come, and Have tells her that she doesn't have to. It won't take long. It's another moment where I want to be with him by myself. I don't want y'all to be around us. I want us to be together without y'all. Clock. Then their mom speaks over the loudspeaker and says she's leaving, and Michael is on the phone. When Haviland goes to answer the phone, Lee mentions that Michael has been calling all week and he brought her the leather coat that she's wearing for Christmas. Now, when Lee asked her about Michael, she said she hadn't talked to him and asked the bitches, why you lying to me? Why you lying to me acting like you're not still talking to this nigga? So she, Lee is like, I'll be right back. So he goes into the room to have a conversation with her, like, bitch, why you lying to me? And she's still on the phone with Michael. And now this is another one of my one-liners that I use all the time. She's like, do I look like a fucking French fry? Do I look like a fucking French fry? Like some type of side order to you? Like, why are you trying to play me like I'm a side order? Okay? Like, child, listen, trying to let you know something. Why don't you have a good time with your other women, Michael? Happy New Year. Like, don't call me trying to come and ask me what I'm doing and trying to come see me when Lee over here. I don't want you to come over here. Go and fuck with them other women. I need some space from you. And I got my little friend who I like flirting with here. I don't need you here wrecking that right now. Stay where you at. Also, what I love about Haviland is that level of pretty girl that knows you have to punish niggas. Like, you have to punish them. You can't just hop back on. And she, even though she was giving him access to her, she was absolutely punishing him because he was begging every time we heard them talk. He was constantly begging this whole movie, okay? And so Lee comes into the room and he's like, I thought you said y'all hadn't talked. She was like, it slipped my mind. He says, okay, well, if you need me, I'm going to be down here on the floor. And that was another self-deprecating moment. Like, I guess I ain't shit, right? So you just lie to me and I tell me the truth. Everybody else know what the fuck going on, but I don't. And what he didn't realize is she don't be keeping it a buck with you all the time because she wants you to see her a certain way. She doesn't want him to see her as weak. Anything that makes her look emotionally weak, she does not want him to see that. And her wearing the jacket this nigga gave, just looking like a weak woman for this man that disrespected her and cheated on her, she knows how Lee is going to feel. Lee, feel like you deserve better than that. And if you want to be dumb and be with this man that disrespects you, that's on you. Like, she imagines that's the energy he's going to have. So she doesn't tell him that she's still letting this nigga call and beg and she going to eventually go back to him. So in the car, she says, I know what you're thinking. I know you think I deserve better than Michael because that's what everybody's always saying. And he says, hey, man, I feel like you deserve whoever you choose to be with. And don't make me no never mind, okay? But just don't say you know what I was thinking because you don't know what I was thinking. She's upset because he's not acting like he cares about her. I think she expected him to be like, yeah, you deserve better. And he was just kind of like, nah, you deserve to be with exactly who you want to be with. If you want to be with that fuck ass nigga, that's what you deserve to be. I think we all kind of grow to be in that space with a lot of people. When they be in these cheating relationships, you know what it is. You low-key like this push and pull shit with that nigga. Don't be asking for no sympathy from me. So, like, she wanted sympathy for being cheated on, but he wouldn't give it to her. So then she asked how his father is doing. Is he alive today? And it's like, now why are you bringing up old shit? So apparently at some point, Lee got a call from Philadelphia. And I think that's what he said, from Philly. And that his dad was on his last leg or something like that. And he jumped the gun. He was in the hospital. And she calls him a sociopath. She's always calling him, some type of name. She's always diagnosing him. So he says, don't turn this around on me, okay? I don't have problems with my dad. You got problems with Mike. And she says, he says he might move out there to get away from all the distractions. He may move to either DC, where his dad is, Philly, where his dad is. I don't know. He said he might move somewhere. They're in DC. So I think he meant I might move to Philly. It's less distractions there. And she says, you're so easily distracted. And he says, that's what my mother says. So then that makes me know that Haviland is in some way a version of his mother. Men love women like their mother, no matter what they be talking about. They usually will pick women that have some type of similarity to their mothers. Like, I know for a fact that my husband wouldn't have been able to handle me if that wasn't his mom. Like, I already know his mom has a very strong personality, and at 70 something years old, you just would never, just very youthful, very, very her. She gonna do her, whatever she feel like doing, she gonna do. Okay. She worked real hard. She still look real good. So yeah, that's gonna be me. But also I feel like that kind of showcased that he might have issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, you easily distracted by what? Like, what the fuck's going on? Either way, child, they do the New Year's toast, the countdown, and Felix is on a business call right in the middle of the countdown, which I think lets us know that a part of their dynamic is that he's always working. She doesn't have a job. She has a camera. So in this thing, she has a hobby. He has a job. So we're gonna get into that soon. So Have asked to use Lee's car to take Lee and Felix home. She asked if he wants to come, but he says he's going to go to bed. She reminds him that Caroline is in the other room. So be a good boy. He tells us, come watch me make a fool out of myself. Come on. Okay. I also do that sometimes because of him. So he and Caroline are tipsy and talking on the sofa. She's more tipsy than he is. Also notice the body language. Let me go back to the other one. Okay. Notice the body language in this very first one at the top. You see she's turned towards him, but he's facing front. I'm always paying attention to body language, y'all. That's a telltale sign. I don't know if you clock that or not, but that's a telltale sign that people are trying to keep a disconnect in the energy. Pay attention to it. I know everybody be trying to act like shit don't matter. It does. Child, I got a personal story that I can actually tie to that, but I'm not gonna do it. But I'm just saying, trust me on this. Notice body language. When you are turned looking at somebody and paying attention to them, but they looking the other way or looking straight, not giving you that same, connection with the body language, pay attention to that. Anyway, so she's tipsy and talking, and he seems disinterested, and she does a stretch, and I'm like, I would have rolled my eyes so hard at her. Y'all got to stop with this lame ass shit. Y'all know this is right in the height of waiting to exhale years. So she stretches. She says, wait a minute. I just exhaled. I was like, I can't stand this so dramatic ass, but Caroline is so dramatic, y'all. So dramatic. It's definitely given she's in the theater and travels all over the world to do the theater. That's what it's given. Okay. But either way, girl, when she exhaled, that was the waiting to exhale thing. I think back in the day, women on TV shows and shit would just say, oh, I exhaled, to showcase they were around a man that they felt comfortable with, or they were in a space where it's like, I've exhaled. So now if you want to fuck me, you can. Like, that's that's the mindset behind I just exhaled. Like, girl. Anyway, so she then says he's probably picky. So if a woman messes up, he can say, I'm so glad I didn't kiss that twit. He says he's just learned not to get himself in situations that he may later regret. And she tells him, oh, well, you won't regret this. And so now she's turning it on, and they start playing the music. Dun, 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 dun. You're riding in my car. Dun. You turn on the radio. You say you don't like it, but I know you're a liar. 'Cause when we kiss, ooh. And it stops because she went to kiss him and he turned his head. Y'all, he turned his head and she was brutally rebuffed. And he goes to apologize. And So later on, when Haviland comes home and gets into bed with Caroline, because I guess they're staying in the same bed, she says, he's gay. And Haviland says, what? Lee is gay. And Haviland just kind of laughs and turns over and goes to sleep. And this is because that lets Haviland know that the move that Caroline tried to put on Lee didn't work. So now, check. She liked that. That was nice. We moving on. So Lee has a dream that he and Hav are on a date, right? I am very close to mine. I am in your eyes. Baby, look, anybody look at me. I don't know the words like that, but that was the tone of the song playing in the background. So it's a dream, right? Him and Hav are on a date. He's in a suit looking good. She's in a dress looking good. She's like, Lee. And like she's doing all of this, like, you know, sexual attracting things. So it kind of makes you feel like in this moment, she's open. She wants him. Tell me what you want, Lee. Like, what is it? What do you want? Like, just doing all of this, right? And he starts to talk, and then all his teeth start to fall out of his mouth. It is the worst shit. Y'all, I hate when I tell y'all I can't stand that scene. All of the teeth start to fall out of his mouth. Hold up, y'all. Let me see if I could because when I Googled it on my computer downstairs, hold up. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, what does dreaming about my teeth falling out mean? Okay, dreaming about your teeth falling out is commonly interpreted as a sign of anxiety, insecurity, or a feeling of losing control in your life, often related to major life changes, significant transitions, or concerns about your appearance or self image. It can also symbolize a sense of powerlessness or fear of loss, which is very, very ideal for this situation because I think it's a reflection of how he feels about Haviland. He feels powerless and hopeless. Like, I am in love with this woman and I can't get close. Like, I can't get close. And then I know that I don't have enough to get close. So I don't even try. And so I have to make it like an aversion thing where instead of focusing on how much I love her, I have to focus on the things that I hate about her just so that I could not think about all of the things that send me. Like that's basically the mindset behind it. This nigga is so poetic. Okay, y'all gonna stop playing with Christopher Scott Chariot, honey. Okay. He's also an editor. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes nowadays. Anyway, I always kind of pay attention to his name if I see it in credits somewhere. So he gets up and tries to leave, but Have asked him to go to brunch with her and her sister and the husband. They're all going to brunch with Alexandra Beaumont and her dad. And she was like, I need buffers from Alexandria Beaumont. And that's another thing. Have has a whole bunch of fake ass friends. Like everybody is pretending like they're better than one another. Everybody's like having fake conversations where they're low key asking questions because they feel like they're in competition with one another, not because you really want to know what's going on with them, not because you really care about them, but because you want to know what's going on with their business because you want to be in the know. You want to be in the know and you want to compare yourself to them. And you want to be able to go around and tell their business to everybody. Like that's the whole thing that it's giving. Okay. So they get to the brunch at La Madeleine's. Okay. They ask Lee what he does. Y'all know they're going to keep asking him. So what do you do, Lee? He says nothing. And Have says he's writing a book. Then Alexandria starts asking him about where he's from. Are you from New York, the Bronx, Brooklyn, whatever? He was like Flushing. Because she was like Jamaica Estates. And he was like Flushing. So it was almost as if she was trying to align herself with him in some way. And Caroline, Have says he's been staying at her place. And Caroline says he's homeless. Her dad says, look, man, don't feel bad. The only reason I wasn't homeless at your age is because my wife had a job as a legal secretary. But 20 years later, I own Savage Software, which is a huge company in DC that Felix also works at. Okay. So understand, family got money on both sides. Alexandria says, I know you went to school. And he was like, he did. I forgot what school, but he went to school. Then Alexandria, I think he went to NYU. Then Alexandria pulls out Michael's CD and asks Haviland to have Michael sign it for her, which is fucking wild. And you could tell that Alexandria was nervous about doing it, but it was a way, I feel like, to inquire about Michael. And Haviland said, maybe you should wait for you to see him in order for you to do that. Lee then picks the CD up to start looking at the tracks, and Haviland goes into defending Michael. Even though she is literally upset with him, she goes into defending him. I'm sorry, but Michael is a genius, because Lee was reading the lyrics like, what the fuck is this? This is also the difference between Lee being a real writer and this man writing music that sucks, basically. 40 ounces of love is elementary, okay, and ignorant as fuck. All right, I'm just telling y'all. What were the tracks that he listed? 40 ounces of love, which plays on MTV consistently. Everybody at the table knows it. Ooh, 40 ounces of love. Ooh, so intoxicating. 40 ounces of love. Ooh, so inebriating. Girl, I'm getting drunk on you. Playing on MTV every hour on the hour, okay? The next track, Love Beatdown. The next song, Gattin' on Love. Y'all, what the fuck is Gattin' on Love? A gat is a gun. What are we shooting on love? What are we doing? Crack addicts. He reads some of the cracked addict lyrics. Girl, don't be addicted to my crack. No, girl, I'm addicted to your crack. I don't like cold turkey. Like what? Like it was bad. It was lad. It was real bad. Crack addict lyrics were terrible. And Lee says, what? And Have then defends Michael and says he was a genius. He's been playing instruments since he was a child. Felix and Lee join in on this and say the things that they've heard. He's the next Marvin Gaye. And she's like, I'm sorry, but he is. Alexandria then says, well, she's glad that they're still good. And the stories about him and Jada Pinkett in the tabloids aren't true. So you sitting up here defending this man and his terrible writing to the actual good writer over here, and then talking about how he's a musical genius, and it's in the tabloids right now that he was cheating on you with Jada Pinkett. That's embarrassing as fuck. That's embarrassing as fuck. And Lee says, what you mean? He got her this coat. And the daddy is like, let me see that coat, baby. We value materialistic things, right? So Lee stands up and puts the coat on and says, man, look at this. Look how fly this is, right? He's acting a fool, basically, in these people's restaurant, so to speak. And Caroline says, oh my God, Lee is bugging out. He says, bug master, why don't you bug a little faster? To show how elementary the lyrics are, right? Lee laughs. Felix looks uncomfortable. The daddy looks uncomfortable. It was kind of like low-key cringeworthy, right? That he made. He said, now that I've embarrassed myself for the sake of a cheap-ass laugh, now I think it's time for me to depart the Savage household. And that's another thing. He's been writing in his laptop this entire time. So every time something happens, we see him in his room intermittently writing. And then here comes Haviland asking him to do something else, okay? So when he was trying to leave, he runs into another friend of Haviland's named Bobby Montgomery, who is there to take down a Christmas tree. Apparently, she has an attitude, but she knows Caroline tried to kiss him, and Haviland says that he's charming, intelligent, and a pathological liar. And Lee says, she said I was intelligent? He's funny. He's hilarious. Meanwhile, Hav is upstairs talking to Caroline, who has her hand stuck in some antiseptic and pickle juice because she accidentally petted a dead cat that was in Mr. Savage's trunk. Why he is driving around with a dead cat in his trunk, I don't know. Why she now has her hand, like, why would you pet it? Also, why pickle juice? I don't, it was so many things I didn't understand about that. But she's sitting there with her hand in the pickle juice, her sunglasses on, and Haviland is like, I'm addicted to Michael. Like, I can't stand him, but every time I see that motherfucker, I hear songs on the radio. I think about how he looks in a suit. Like, am I addicted to him? I must be addicted to him. Baring her soul, girl. Caroline said, I don't know, and gets up and walks the fuck away. Like, bitch, you are exhausting your friends and family with you and this Michael bullshit, basically. So Bobby Montgomery ends up spilling all the tea to Lee that have as her sister Lee to come and work in New York as her assistant, while Felix is making mad loot working at Savage Software in DC, causing a rift between Lee and her husband. Lee, not the sister Lee, the man Lee, feels like it's demeaning for Haviland to ask her sister to be her assistant. And so Haviland comes downstairs, hey, Lee, can you bring us to my grandma's house? Once again, you don't want him to leave. He was just about to leave. Now you want him to take you somewhere else. He says, no problem. Why you ain't tell me that Lee and Felix was fighting because of you? She turns around, hey, money, they ain't fighting because of me. And he says, you asked her to be your assistant? That's cold. That's like asking your mom to be your maid. And she goes off on him. She says, first of all, I am looking out for my sister. I'm just trying to help her. You don't know me. You don't know us from a can of paint, nigga. Don't come in my motherfucking mama house telling me what to do with my sister, okay? She told him to get his piss-colored ass out her goddamn house. And then Bobby was like, oh, whoa, I didn't mean to get him between his lover's spat. And Haviland's like, excuse me, Miss Thing, I have a man. And Bobby was like, okay, Haviland. And then she gets up and walks out. And I'm like, okay, maybe this was just a movie thing, but I need to understand why you had a friend show up so that she could take down your Christmas tree. Because let's be very real, there is something quirky and off about Caroline, about Alexandria Beaumont, and about Bobby Beaumont, child, whatever. Alexandria Beaumont, Bobby Montgomery, okay? There is something quirky and weird about these women. It's like in some way they're not as refined, or they don't know how to carry themselves in the same way as Haviland. They all are intelligent. They all carry themselves with a certain amount of prestige. You know, like you would just tell these are people who have parents with money, or they have really good educations. So, all of them. But at the same time, there's something needy, off, and slightly weird about all of her friends. And it makes me think about having a friend who might be like, you know, pretty as we're adults, but also might have grown up being the nerdy girl. So when y'all were all friends in high school or college, you're the head of the mean girl squad. And these are kind of low key, the nerdy / pretty mean girls that you have like accepted to be your underlings. Because why the fuck was Bobby there just to take down the Christmas tree? Did anybody notice that? Also, Bobby turns to leave before she leaves and says, bye, bad boy. And it's like, so now you've been flirted with everybody. I do feel like there was something about the scene with Alexandria that was cut out, because we didn't see that much flirting, but she was asking him question after question after question after question. So it definitely kind of was like, girl, you trying to holler at him? What's going on? What's going on? Okay, so as they're having this argument conversation, the toilet explodes upstairs. Because for some reason, Caroline, as I'm saying, all of the weird, thirsty ass friends, she used the bathroom. There's a sign above the toilet that says, don't sit on the toilet, don't use the toilet, don't flush the toilet. She opens the toilet. There's another sign, for God's sakes, don't flush the toilet. She does it anyway. The toilet fucking explodes. They spend 2 hours having to clean up the bathroom. So whatever argument them two was having, nobody cares now. So they end up going to Hav's grandma's house. And child, the kiss that Haviland's grandmama gave Lee when he crossed that threshold, it just reminds me how no matter a woman is young or old, y'all be thirsty behind a good looking man. Because why are you kissing that man like that? You don't know him. And I know that was supposed to, like a cute moment to just show her grandmother was also a quirky, funny, kind of free spirited grandmother. It's the grandmother that you gonna have a good time in her house. She gonna cook you some food. But also, why is you kissing that man like that? Like that was a little bit too much for me. So they explained they spent 2 hours cleaning up the bathroom to the grandmother. That's why they're late. Caroline goes to start explaining that she's sorry. I was sorry. I didn't take my medication. Like, girl, you on medication so you could not do shit like that? My God. My God. Okay. So they move on to grandma asking Lee what he does every time they sit down with somebody. What do you do, Lee? He explains that he's writing a love story. And the grandma was like, it's not like that one with the girl in the boat and everybody died at the end, huh? Like, and we eventually find out she talking about Jason's lyric. And no, it's not like that. He tells her the book will be done in about 6 months. And, he's been talking to some publishers. So he's talking it up like he's on his shit. But we all know that he's not. And as he's lying to Haviland's grandmother about how this book is going to come out in 6 months, she's drawing this little picture of him with his nose long like a liar and his pants on fire, calling him a liar. And when the grandmama gets up to go into the kitchen, she asks Haviland to come with her, and Haviland hands her the picture. And Carolyn's goofy ass is laughing a little bit too hard about it. Like, girl, you just had shit all over you. Shut up. You know what I mean? But that little sticky note, he kept that little sticky note, y'all. This nigga loved that girl so much. That sticky note that was meant to make fun of him, he kept that shit and he taped it on top of his laptop. The book was done. The manuscript was done in 6 months because the movie was out in a year. So he did it. It wasn't really a lie. Okay. But I think that moment pushed him to make it not a lie. Like, I'm going to prove her wrong. So Haviland goes into the kitchen to help her grandmother cook. And her grandmama says, I just met your husband in there. And she was like, what? I don't want to leave. He ain't got no job. This, and that. I said you're going to marry him. What did I tell your sister 5 years ago when she came in here with Felix? What did I tell your mama 35 years ago when your father came delivering groceries to my back stoop? And Haviland was like, Grandma, mom and dad divorced. And she was like, well, I can't tell y'all kids what to do once you do it. But all I know is what I see when I see two people together. And girl, I just met your husband. He's sitting in my living room. You either do it the hard way or the easy way. What that actually meant, the hard way is you acting like you don't really care about him because he doesn't have money and he doesn't have the lifestyle that you're accustomed to. And being with him would mean that you would have to help him, and you're already helping him though. He's already staying with you when you're out of town. But he also does shit for you, like bringing you every goddamn where because you don't have a car. So in a way, he was always still trying to make himself of use to her, not just taking from her aimlessly like some men will do. But I think the idea was, and this was something that they really promoted a lot, be with a man that ain't got shit and help him until he get on his feet. That's not smart. And I think a lot of the times the story is meant to make women support men that are not really going to ever get on their feet for real. Y'all sell these stories. Tyler Perry does it now. You sell these stories that women are being vapid, that they're being selfish because they don't want to be in relationships with men that are going to be financially, a burden for them. Excuse me. And I feel like on some level, Lee was going to be a burden for her. That's what that would have turned into because we've all seen it. Just like the daddy was saying, like they kind of put that on that whole narrative of a woman having her shit together. Like the mom was a legal secretary, but if it wasn't for her, the daddy would have been homeless. And it took him a little while, but he finally got on his feet in a huge, major fucking way. Yeah, that's great and all of that. But I think that it just says a lot about how in society men are allowed to waste so much of their time being aimless, whereas women have to figure it out immediately. And I think this is because when you really think about it, women are held to a higher standard, especially Black women, and also because women can't be homeless. A man can be homeless. In our society, even though both men and women are trafficked and assaulted, it still feels as if our society is saying a woman can't really be homeless because she'll be hard somewhere. You can't just be lying out there with free coochie on a bench, even if it is stinky, if it's dirty, if it's homeless. You can't be lying out here with free coochie on benches, which is why you see way more homeless men than women. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. Um, But yeah, Disappearing Acts was another one where they were trying to, create that narrative where a woman has her shit together in one way or another and needs to lower her bar for a man that doesn't have as much and may be a burden to her and not an addition. But you want her to focus on the fact that he reads books and they have good banter and great conversations and he really loves and cares about her in a way that the man with the money doesn't. But how does that show up for a woman exactly? And that's what we're going to get into. Because I feel like as a woman, we're often shamed about how we deal with men, how we view men, wanting men to be able to provide something versus just being with a man because he doesn't have any. You know what I mean? Because he's a good guy, but he ain't got shit. Y'all guilt women, especially Black women, about how we view that dynamic. And like I said, we'll get further into that when we get into the end. But I feel like the hard way was saying, no, I'm not going to be with him until he gets it together. When he get it together, then we could talk. That was the hard way. Okay. Anyway, when they get back to the house, Lee is there. She needs to have a conversation with Haviland, but Haviland has something to do. So Lee offers to talk to her. He was actually going to try and leave, but when he's writing his little last entry, Lee is like, Lee, you coming downstairs? And so he ends up back downstairs being a listening ear to Lil Lee. I'm going to call her Lil Lee in order to, not be so confusing. Okay. So she says again to him that she thinks he's in love with Haviland. And he says, why do you think that? And she explains that, well, I know y'all went to college and she used to find little notes in she used to find little notes. I don't know if they said where, but she would find little notes or little poems and shit that he had written for her. And it was like an anonymous thing. So she never really knew. But then once they got out of college, they ran into one another and he told her that it was him who had been doing it. And then they went on a date. So that's why she thinks that Lee is in love with her sister. Oh wait, no, he used to send her flowers in college, not little notes. He used to send her flowers. My bad. He denies being in love with her. And so she says, then why are you washing your hands with cheese? Meanwhile, Hav is going to Lee's room to ask him to do something else for her to keep him from leaving. I don't know if anybody peeped that, but she was like, Lee, can you look at my stereo? Like, girl, give me a fucking break. Anything to keep this man from leaving, right? So she goes and she sits on the bed and she goes through his stuff. And it's almost like a very wholesome moment, but really it showcases how much comfort she has with him. She puts her feet in his shoes and she picks up the stethoscope that he had in his bag. I don't know why this nigga has a stethoscope, but she picks it up and she puts it on her heart. You know what I'm saying? And then she starts going through his books. And y'all, I think it's very important to name some of these books because I'm gonna have to read them because I know I have one of them, the Selected Poems by Langston Hughes. I have that book already, but I've heard about Emily Bronte, but I've never read anything by her. But Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte was one of the books. Of Human Bondage by Somerset Maugham was another one of the books. Tar Baby, heard about it, didn't read it, don't want to read it, kind of figure out what it's about, but might just for fun. Tar Baby by Toni Morrison, Selected Poems of Langston Hughes, and a Bible with his name on it. And his name was Leonard Heathcliff Plenty. So inside the Bible are pictures of Lee's face beaten and swollen. And we never understand what happened. We never know what actually happened. But in my mind, for some reason, I always assumed maybe he had a gambling debt of some type and he got beat up because of the gambling debt. Like, I wasn't really sure, but his face was swollen, his lip was bust. It also made me think about when she was talking about that barbecue. Remember when they were looking through the photo album and she was, you should have came to the barbecue that summer, and she was like, oh, well. And I'm wondering if whatever happened to him, it happened that summer, because she said it like, oh, I forgot about what happened to you. So I wonder, they never really talked about that. He was homeless on the street, but that doesn't explain why he got beat up like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that was like, oh, he was just homeless, so somebody decided to beat him up, or something actually happened, because he did have that book deal. He had money that was supposed to be coming to him that ended up not coming. So I just wondered what was the story behind that. We never got the story. So downstairs, Lee, the sister, wants to tell Have that the job she's offering isn't for her. Lee, the man, points out that everyone goes to Haviland for advice when really she's the most messed up one out of everyone. He tells her that she didn't have, tells Lee, Lil Lee, that she didn't have a sense of purpose after high school, and she married her high school sweetheart thinking that would help, but it didn't. What does that sound like? How many times women think being a wife and a mother is going to be enough? It's not enough for most women. It's not enough. It's one thing that takes up a lot of time and a great aspect of who you are as a person in our society. Absolutely. But that's not the only thing that I feel like any woman is just supposed to be here for. We're also supposed to be here because we all have talents and things that God put inside of us for us to showcase in this life. That's why. Okay. For us to give our gift to people, like not just to have a baby for somebody. Anyway, so, or get married, either way, but that's how she felt. She felt like she had no accomplishment. He says he had the same problem, no sense of accomplishment. Lee says that she's having an identity crisis, but in half an hour, Lee has cured her. So now she sees him as her savior. No, he gave you good advice. He put something into perspective for you. Everyone looks for a purpose to give you a sense of dignity. And I was reading about that. Child was reading about that in this book I'm reading right now, about how we use validation from whatever we do in order to give ourselves confidence, right? So what I do here on YouTube, I'm validated by y'all coming to see me. I'm validated by likes and views and comments about what I do helping y'all. Like, I'm validated by those things, and that's great. But I also have to be validated within myself about myself, so that if I lose this, I'm not nobody just because I don't have this anymore. You feel me? Like, I used to be validated by being one of the few Black female photographers in the city of New Orleans, like working out of 4 news stations, channel 4, 8, 6, and News with a Twist girl. W, I forgot what AW is. Anyway, but out of our news, all 4 of us, out of our news stations, it was only a handful, maybe, and especially when I first started, a handful of women, let alone Black women, might have been 3 of us at one point, 3 Black women out of all of those stations that were infield photographers, and not just like the reporter that's one man banning it. Okay, but like actual full-time photographers, I had a lot of validation and pride in that. People would stop me on the street, they would see me shooting something, and I'm proud of you, baby. Black women would just stop and say shit like that to me. I had a lot of validation in that, but that wasn't making me happy. So I had to leave that. And so now, you have to find your validation within yourself. And that goes back to the quote at the beginning, which is a Bible verse about figuring out how to be content in all in all instances of life. How to be content within yourself is to know God, but to know yourself. So that if you know who you are, no matter what you are being validated for outside of yourself that helps you with that, you always know that it's also you, and you be validated by that. So for instance, with YouTube, like I said, I am validated by how y'all feel about what I do, but I'm also validated about how I feel about what I do. It makes me feel good about me. And even if I wasn't doing this anymore, I would still be able to say that's something I did, that's something I know how to do, that's something that I was good at. I touch people, I connected with people, I entertain people. I know the value of that. So to bring that to other people in the way that it is brought to me, that still makes me feel good about who I am. You know what I'm saying? As a person, without really having outside validation about it forever. You know what I'm saying? So the things that people validate, it's only a mirror so you can see yourself. See those good things about yourself so that you can adopt them to your self-esteem, which means that eventually nobody will be able to take it from you either. Like you won't ever be able to tell me I'm not a hard worker, I'm not a hustler, that I'm not good at almost anything I decide that I'm going to be good at just because that's my mindset about it. You feel me? That's my mindset about it. When I was doing, when I was being a photographer, you get up there, you do live shots every fucking day, making a mistake. And in my mind, I'm not making the same mistake twice. I'm always planning so I don't make the same mistake again. Like that was something that was always in my head. It made me good at my job. Even when the people who I work with didn't want to validate that I was good at my job, didn't want to name me, calling me one of the photographer, who did this Emmy award winning, Marrero award winning work, that people still, can go and look up. Like you won't ever be able to take that from me because I did that shit. It doesn't matter if the people that I work with validated that it was me. We know it was me. I know it was me. You know what I mean? That's all that matter. So, that okay. But you always are looking for that. But I think you have to think about that in small things as well. Like accomplishing small things also validates your sense of self. That's why working out or having a list of things that you need to do and checking off that list of things by the end of your day, even if you didn't finish all of it, say you finished half or a few, you will feel good and validated by the fact that you were able to accomplish something, fix a problem, whatever. You find some type of peace, happiness in that. That's why doing nothing isn't always a good feeling for people, because you need to be doing something to accomplish something, even if it's small, so you can feel good about yourself. When my house is clean, I clean my house, I feel good about the fact that it's clean. I can sit there and literally soak in good feelings from the fact that I did this. Small, doesn't matter. Made me feel happy. You know what I mean? That's something that you have to keep within yourself in order, I feel like, to stay happy. So Lil Lee says that Lee is going to be very big. She said, I know a few things. She said, I know you're going to be very big. I'm going to move to New York and take that job. And come here, Lee. Dun, 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 dun. You're riding in my car. Dun, 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 dun. You turn on the radio. Dun, 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 dun. You say you don't like it, dun, 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 but I know that you're a liar. Dun, 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 dun. 'Cause when we kiss, ooh, the fuck's wrong with you? Fire, no fire, no fire. Stop right there. Scary music. Because Caroline shows up and sees everything that's going on. So while I'm singing a song, right? Lil Lee is chasing Lee around the kitchen trying to kiss him. Please, just one kiss. Just let me kiss you one time. Just one kiss. And because if I don't do it, then it'll be stuck in my mind. So let me just do it. Come on, one kiss. Like literally chasing him around the kitchen. And he slipped and fell on something he broke. And she grabs him up. And he was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Because at this point, you're forcing yourself on him. Not fucking cool. But when he says, what the fuck's wrong with you? She stops and she looks at him. And then Carolyn walks in and she runs after Carolyn. Lee instantly goes upstairs, to Haviland, who has her feet in his shoes and is all in this warm space and looks like she's about to tell him something. And she's like, Lee, I want to tell you something. And he just rushes in. He's like, your sister just tried to kiss me. Instantly smacks the shit out of him, falls down to the ground. They go downstairs. Okay. Yes. Funny as fuck. All of the women are crazy. All of the women are crazy. Be clear. They go downstairs. She helps him ice his mouth and help him, get up off the counter. And she was like, be careful. If you get up too fast, you'll feel like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. And he was like, man, you ain't doing nothing. I've been hit harder by weaker women, But then here come Felix. Felix walks in, and apparently Lee must have told him half of the story, but he walks in and punches, what's up, Mr. Bob Master? Like, what the fuck? Takes his jacket off, and all of the muscles is popping. This nigga got a beater on, glasses and a beater. Lee says, damn. And he come over, he punch him in his stomach. He like, why am I getting my ass whipped? Falls on the ground. And this is when Lil Lee runs in. Felix, he didn't do anything. I'm like, bitch, it took you long enough to get there. We didn't do anything. I tried to kiss him. Lee refused me. He didn't kiss her? Haviland. No. And he just picks up his shit and storms out. And he's like, are you going to come home with me? And Lil Lee is just like, nah, I just need a minute. And so she ends up staying the night at the house, I believe. Until everything kind of calms down. But poor Lee getting his ass beat. So Lee turns to, before she walked off with Felix, she turned to Haviland, and Haviland was like, I just went through this shit with Michael, and I have no intentions of going through this shit with you. And Carolyn was like, yeah. And Lee was like, what the fuck? What the hell did that mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? It means that she views you like Michael, and her sister and her friends pushing up on you was cool as long as you were, well, actually her sister, no, her friends, fine. But her sister, no, she was not cool with her sister doing it. But I think at that point also, because it ruined her moment. Like when he walked in, she was about to tell him something that she was feeling about him. I feel like she was about to tell him that she was feeling him. And that moment ruined it. So now she's mad at her sister. But also it gives Lee the outlook that she's feeling him, because I don't think he necessarily was picking up on it. I don't know why he wasn't picking up on it. Why you think she letting you live in her house and shit when she's not in town and she's always asking you to stay? He's not paying attention to those things. So like I said, Felix asked Lee if she loves Lee, and she's like, no. And he's like, are you going to take Haviland's job offer? And she's like, I don't know. Lee and Haviland drop off Caroline, and Hav ask, is Caroline a twit? Like, do I purposefully pick needy friends? And he was like, the whole time she was sitting in the back seat, why you ain't asked that shit while she was here? Again, fake, talking behind people's back, not saying it to their face. She asked why he didn't kiss Caroline, and he said she was buzzed. That didn't attract him. And Haviland says, but you were attracted to my sister. And he says, yes, I was, but that wasn't the time or the place. And, things like that, I feel like have a time and in a place. And that wasn't it. Haviland seemed to like that he said that. Lee ends up staying the night, leaving them two to kind of have their moment finally, right? So she asked him to come to her room and talk. But when he does, he hits his toe on the corner of her bed and starts bleeding. And she's just laughing at him. She says, it happens to me all the time. She was like, don't bleed on the carpet. But it was fucked up. Like, this man hit his toe and he bleeding, and she's like just laughing her ass off about the shit. Either way, after he must have dealt with his toe, he went back to his room and got in the bed. And then she came and got in the bed with him and peeled his eye open. You sleep? You sleep? If you want to sleep, come in my room. This bed's uncomfortable. So now you want to get him in the bed with you. He already knew that this was something that he shouldn't do. He was like, watch me make a fool of myself again. Come on. Okay. So he goes into her room, gets in the bed, and they just laying there. Okay, y'all see it. The second picture. And she reminds him that over one weekend, 4 girls tried to get at him. He says that, I don't know what that was about, but I'm moving to DC. She's trying to tell him something, and he starts playing with her massager. This was another moment where I felt like he knew that she was about to say something and didn't want to hear it, so he caused a distraction. She asked, why has he not tried to kiss her? And he says, because you have psychological problems. All them hoes have psychological problems. And so does he. She asked if he would refuse her. He says yes, because a bed isn't the time or the place for a first kiss. The music starts playing. She tells him that, you know what I found out about you, Lee? That you're romantic. And I'm so sorry that our kiss couldn't happen over a candlelight dinner, but this is the time and this is the place. Lee kissed me. And she got on top of him. They playing the music. And she kissed him. She didn't let him refuse her. She got on top of that man and Lee kissed me. Yeah, it was a good kiss too. That was an old nasty, good top bottom lip kiss. Okay. But they playing the music. And when we kiss, ooh, fire. Mm, 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 fire. Mm, late at night. Mm, 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 you're taking me home. Mm, mm, mm. You say you want to stay, but I want you to go. You say you don't like it, but you know that I'm a liar. Something like that. 'Cause when we kiss, oh, fire. And they show a montage of them together. But you know what I loved about this montage? It was outtakes. I don't know if anybody noticed it, but it's all these outtakes of them laughing and smiling, but they're outtakes. So they're the moments where the scene breaks, but it looks as if it's two people that's enjoying each other's company, people that's laughing and having good conversation over and over and over and over and over again. And so we get back to the kiss and she's like, Lee, he like, huh? They're making out. And she says, I'm not going to let you make love to me. And he's like, okay. And she was like, you're not mad? He says, no. She slides from under him. I know you don't know this about me, Lee, but I'm a freak. So if I don't feel like the sexiest bitch alive when I'm in a man's arms, then I don't want to be in his arms. Maybe you need to look up some books on freaks and see how we think. He was like, what? So because I'm not mad that you don't want to have sex with me, now you telling me I don't know what I'm doing and I need to read some books on the shit? This moment. So he ends up leaving and saying that he walked right into that power trip because basically she played it off like, okay, well, you can go back to your room now, give him a kiss on the cheek and then let him leave. And it was definitely giving transference of energy. Like you might have been feeling a certain way. And so you put him in this moment where you could rebuff or you could say no to him. And this moment, so annoying about Haviland, but I definitely identify with her in this moment because when I was younger, I would have wanted the man that got mad. I would have wanted the man that got mad. I would have wanted the man that could not stop, not just men, women, period. Look, I want you to act as if you can't stop. I want you to act like you are out of control, so in it. Like I want you to come at me like you gotta be like taking in a deep breath to get into this shit. You know what I'm saying? And it looks like passion, but a lot of the times it's toxicity. A lot of the times it's men that can't control themselves. A lot of times it's how girlfriends and wives have moments during sex where it's painful or they want the person to stop, but the person doesn't stop. And so the man that will stop, the man that can control his shit, that can step away, you will then see them as not wanting you as much until you realize what's actually going on. I was in a relationship and when I tell y'all, it was very passionate and all of that, but it was toxic. And I remember how we were together for a long time. So I can remember his on my ass. Like, you know how you laying in the bed with somebody and as soon as they come up behind you, they dick start getting hard. Like, so now their dick is sticking to your ass. Like I used to have just naturally would feel something on my left ass cheek every time I got into the bed because of this man. And it wasn't until me and him broke up and I got with my husband that I remember laying in the bed with my husband and feeling so relieved that it wasn't every time we got in the bed that I didn't have to feel somebody's hard dick on my ass telling me it was time for me to get up and have sex again. Like, because at some point that was intoxicating and a good feeling, but that at another point it became tiring and I was raw and it was enough. You know what I'm saying? And he would get mad at me if we had went 3 days without having sex, like blow up. So I feel like when you are young, especially if you're growing up in a household where your parents have a somewhat toxic, volatile relationship, you start to be attracted to a certain type of personality that shows all this passion, but it's in a manipulative type of way. It's not really real. It's because they want to invoke this feeling from you. It's the catch-22 situation, right? Because like when you look at Michael, that's what Michael was giving. Michael is giving, I got a vein that's in my forehead that's busting out right now because I'm thinking about you and licking on your clitoris or something. Like a woman like Haviland, like you're eating that shit up. You love the fact this man is down on his knees begging you. He gotta have it. Like you love that shit. And it stings your ego that Lee won't give you that same type of response. But also, Lee cares about you enough to listen to you when you say no and to stop when you say stop. At some point, that type of care is gonna matter more than a nigga that shows you passion sometimes, but cares nothing about how you actually feel in the moment. Having good sex with you is an extension of how he's good at sex versus having sex with, Lee might have been more about pleasuring her because he's gonna be more conscious of how she's feeling. I'm just saying, y'all, I feel like I was very much seeing myself and Haviland in this situation and how you have got to elevate out of that mindset as a woman. Like, I do feel like it's a lack of maturity. It's a lack of maturity to find so much excitement in someone not listening to you say stop or no. Okay. And then that's why I was like, it's the passion of it all, but it's not about because I wish a nigga could do both. Can you be passionate and then also be like, is this okay? You good? All right. And then go back to this, but like, do the check-in thing. Okay. But like, nah. A lot of times it's not like that. They turn something off. Uh the next day, the next day, Lee, Lil Lee, her little sister, reads Haviland down to her fucking toenails. Okay. She is about to leave the house and she comes in there to talk to her. And she says, Lee, I'm not gonna take your job offer. Thanks though. And she gets up to walk out. And Haviland is like, Lee, are you still angry? And Lee sits down and she's like, let's unpack that, shall we? Am I still angry with the person who I've worshiped, adored, and emulated my entire life, only in one weekend to find she's a selfish, fake, power hungry bitch who wouldn't know a good man if he was laying in standing in the next room, child, laying in the next room, standing in the next room. She said it took a complete stranger to show me that I have been licking the butt of a false god for 24 years. A complete stranger. So, am I angry with you? Of course not, you twit. Lee leaves, and as she's walking out, Lee comes to hug her, and she says, "Just leave Haviland alone. Don't try to make it work with her. She's too toxic." Okay. This really hurt Haviland feelings. Child, Haviland was deep in thought after this, but this conversation, it really showed me that Lee realized that Haviland was wanting a relationship maybe kind of similar to the one she has with Felix. Felix cares about Lee. That was very obvious after we find out that she's the one that was trying to kiss Lee. And Felix is still like, are you coming home with me? Like, even with that, like that was some flaw ass shit. And that nigga still was on his knees in front of that lady. Are you gonna come home with me? I think it made her realize what she actually had when she thought about it. And so, thinking about that, now I'm mad at my sister because my sister was trying to fuck up my relationship on some slick shit because she is wanting somebody to be running behind her as an assistant so she can feel good about herself as Love 40 dogs her out and sends her flowers every day. Like, it definitely was given, you want me to be character in your story instead of being my own main character. Like, Haviland is self-absorbed and her friends and the people around her reflect that. And her causing that issue with her sister and Felix was basically like a culmination of that. You really don't care about nobody but yourself. That's how it came off. And that's why Lee is so angry at her sister, because it's like, I worship you. I love you. How could you use your bullshit as a way to, like, you use your situation with Michael as a way to fuel fucking up my relationship with my husband. And the truth of the matter is, you can't really fuck up somebody else's relationship with their spouse. But it was the way you presented that to her, knowing that it would pull her away from him. And then you would feel like you weren't the only one without a husband. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, y'all, and this is when they play my favorite song, y'all. One of my favorite songs of all time. And I know if y'all don't like to hear me sing, I don't care. Okay. But I hate the way that you can never find this song on any real streaming service. Like, I think they put it on Apple not too long ago, but you really couldn't find it for a long time. And it just so happened that I just always had it on my iPod. Okay. But the lyrics, y'all. Long ago, I had a dream. Someone would come and share the years ahead. So I waited and I prayed that it didn't come too late. I didn't know your name, but I wanted him to say to me, wipe your tears away. You don't have to cry no more. No more. Wipe your tears away. Oh, when I tell y'all the arranging that Faith did on this song, come to me so that I can be in love. Well, she said, how I long to be in love. I carry on in life alone. No one to hold, but I'm still strong. Will I always be alone? Tell me, will I? Trying to wait by the phone, waiting by the phone, hoping soon that you're gonna find me, that you'll take me by my hand and you'll wipe my tears away. Oh, no more, baby. Listen. Y'all need to go get into that song, okay? But it's one of my favorite songs of all time, y'all. It's just, girl, don't be in your feelings. Wipe my tears away. I should wipe my tears, waiting for you, baby. Listen, Okay, listen, my shit. So Lee is finally leaving, and Hav is sitting in the car looking mad. Lee looks like he wants to say something, but he doesn't. And then we see Lil Lee go home to her fine ass husband. He's sitting in his lazy boy playing a video game with no shirt on and his glasses. Okay, looking like just as a fine nerd as he want to be. And she climbed on top of him and they just started making out, child. Okay, so I guess Lee and her husband is back cool. When they get back to New York, Hav says that, listen, I don't want to play any games with you, but I really don't know what I want right now. So you can either choose to fuck with that or not. He says, well, I think you do know what you want. And it's definitely not no thread bearing book writing nigga who's living out of his car. But to tell you the truth, I don't want to be with a woman that would rather go to a party than put up a Christmas tree there, money. And I just kind of felt like they had a Christmas tree at the mama house. Like, the fuck? But that was his way of telling her, like, you're too predisposed with the look of things instead of actually having something of value. But I also feel like people do that a lot to successful women, shame them for not being at home waiting for a nigga to implant into their lives, right? Because a lot of times putting up a Christmas tree is about somebody that likes to spend time at their house, or they have somebody they're doing that for. You know what I'm saying? It's to create a vibe in a house. And a lot of times it's for not just that person. It's also for whoever they're with when women do that. So I low-key feel like you want her to be a homemaker without no husband is what that feels like. But she turns to get out the car and it looks like he wants to say something, but automatically doesn't. And he looks pained about it. She tells him to call her tomorrow. She says, I'll be in my office waiting all day for your phone call. So just call me. So that was her, again, leaving the gate open, right? She says, King Lee. He says, Queen Have, right? So she get to work. And there is a bouquet of flowers on her desk. And of course, it's from Love 40. It's from Michael. Michael comes up to her office, and as Michael is giving his best Emmy Award winning performance for a ain't shit ass musician who is trying to beg his old lady back down to her office, where everybody in the office knows his music and is a fan of his. It's so annoying. So as Hav doesn't even say anything, she's just looking at him, and he comes in talking low and staring deep. And people keep coming into her office, so he has to sign autographs. And he tells one of them that, hey, baby, you can keep the pen. Like, nigga, what? Do you know how presumptuous you have to be in order for you to feel like somebody gives a fuck enough about a pen that you held? Like, I think he pulled that out of his coat anyway, but he's full of himself and he's pretentious. And everybody is like basically walking in, hey, love you, Mike. Love you too, man. Love 40, baby. Okay. Like, it's fake as fuck. And it's him going in and out of his emotions with playing that role for everybody that keeps coming into her office, also enjoying it and looking at her while it's happening. Like, look, you see how all these people love me? You see how all these people adorn me? Girl, you should be lucky that I'm about to come and beg to, be down to the cabin looking on your clitoris or something. Yeah, I would never get over him telling her that I want the full range of Haviland Savage, whether it's us down to the, the boardroom and our nice little business jackets and our little briefcases, and to, down to the house in the bedroom with a fire on a bearskin rug with me just like looking on your clitoris or something. But I tell you, me and Lyric look at each other every time. Every time he says that shit, we can't help but laugh. It's incredible. Okay. But he offered to take her to his house in the Hamptons for the weekend, and they go shopping and they have a romantic weekend to fix everything. And another thing was the nigga, like when the people walked out the room, him taking a hit off his inhaler. Okay, taking a hit off his inhaler. and talking about how he just stayed home and watched Dick Clark all weekend. He was alone. He wasn't with nobody. I don't believe it. I think he's lying. I think he was trying to perpetrate himself in that moment as someone that was weak, not really weak in a big way, but in this moment, look, me and my asthma pump, I was home alone. Feel sorry for me, bitch. So now when I come in front of you and tell you how this vein is popping out of my forehead because I miss your coochie, and I'm gonna get down in front of you and beg you to be my wife again, right? Haviland doesn't actually say anything this entire time, but we see her get home. And here come another weird, quirky, needy ass cousin that stays in the building. What's up, cuz? What's up, cuz? Where you been? How you did? Let me say what I did. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And Haviland is like, wait, give me a minute. Because she looks down and she sees the letter that Lee left her. Lee did not call her. Lee wrote her a letter and slid it under her fucking door. The effort of that in comparison to just calling, hey, what you doing? Like, how your day going? Nah, this nigga wrote a letter. And in the letter, he basically professed his love for her. And it was beautiful the way he said it. He tells her, hold on, I want to make sure I don't miss certain points. He says, I got it bad and that ain't good. He says, I've never in my life before felt simultaneous attraction and revulsion. He tells her he always thinks of her and he loves her. And I mean, he says, at some point, I'll get over you and some other woman will come in like a tornado to wreak havoc on my life. And hopefully that when we're sitting down at a dinner table and she asks me what I'm thinking, it's not a complete fucking lie. That I say it's Haviland Savage's eyes, I am thinking. Haviland Savage's lips, I am thinking. Haviland Savage, I am thinking. I love you. That was how the letter was, y'all. He basically said that no matter what, he's going to think about her and he loves her. She read the letter. The needy cousin comes into the room and asks if she wants to go to a party tonight because Michael might be there. And she says, sure. So that shows us that she's not going to respond to Lee, but that she's going to go back and get what 40 ounces of love over there. So we see a year in the future. And a year in the future, we're watching the scene where Felix comes in and punches Lee. We're watching that in the remake. He finished the book, and now there's a movie that is at what is it? It's at a film festival. And this movie was actually at a film festival, right? So he, they show it was Nia Long playing Haviland, it was Shamar Moore playing Lee, it was Chili playing Lil Lee, it was Lauryn Hill playing Caroline, and Mekhi Phifer playing Felix. So Mekhi Phifer ain't even as big as the real Felix. And child, the real Felix, know he looked good once he got that goatee. Lord. Okay. But either way, they're all there watching the film, looking very disheartened by it for the most part. Like Haviland and Caroline both had their little tinted glasses on, like it was hilarious, right? So they ask him about the movie, he's answering questions, and they're like, Lee Plenty, the creator of the film, why didn't they end up together? It was like they didn't end up together. That's just what happened. I thought they were gonna get married too, but they didn't. Well, the people who you sell the movie to might want a happy ending. I'm not giving them no happy ending. I'm not selling out for shit. This is what happened. In the second one, I wrote a book and it turned into a screenplay, and I was very successful, and we both moved on with our lives, and she went and lived her life with somebody else. That's how it ended. But that's not really how it ended, right? So they're having the after party. And of course, Lee and Felix go up to Lee, and she's pregnant. So obviously she's settling into, I still maybe haven't found my purpose 100%, but I got a baby in me right now. So I got something else to focus on. She still has her camera, taking pictures and everything. So, but she does seem like a little bit happier to be there and in that space than she was before. But he turns around and there she is, standing there looking all good and chocolatey, and she kisses him and, King Have, Queen, King Lee, Queen Savage, all that shit. Queen Have, whatever the fuck. Y'all know what I'm saying. And at this moment, in the height of his success, she comes up to him and tells him that she realized everything she thought she wanted was bullshit. He was the man she always dreamed of as a little girl. I didn't like that. She kissed him and whispered in his ear that she loved him. And then the Edmonds come over and offer him a deal. And they're offering him a lot of money and a movie and all of that. And he's happy about that. She actually held his hand as they presented their offer to him. And when he heard the amount of money that they were offering, he grabbed her hand back. And I think that also showed maybe he thought she was just there because now he's successful and she doesn't really want him. She doesn't really care about him. But I don't think that's the case. I think she cared about him when he didn't have anything, but I can't be with you when you don't have anything. Like, those are two different things. I can care about you and not be with you at the same time. So I won't ever adopt the narrative that the movie was trying to go with, which is that Haviland was wrong because she didn't want to be in a relationship with a man that still needed to figure his own shit out first. And there was some shit she needed to figure out too. And I think that relationship with Michael was what she needed to learn what's really important to her in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that actually cares. But it did seem disingenuous when she's telling it to him at this moment. You know what I'm saying? So he said, he would make some changes to the ending and he would accept the deal. So he just said he wouldn't sell out. And now he's saying at the end of the movie, I got the job. I got the book, got the money, got the girl, and I only had to sell out a little bit. I'm good with that, right? Well, Romeo and Juliet, and now the movie's over. And it always kind of just left it open. Like, yeah, they might end up together, but they probably won't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how it ended for me. But I also want to go back to what Haviland's grandmother said. Even if they are not going to end up together for a long term, they probably would have got married, stayed married for 7 to 8 years, and then broke up, child. Okay. But I didn't think there was anything wrong with him changing the ending to reflect something positive back then. Now I feel like leave it exactly the way it is, because a part of the reason why everybody is delusional when it comes to relationships is because of the way films and television and books have romanticized romantic relationships in an unrealistic way. Everybody's expecting one person to come out of nowhere and completely make their life so much better. I'm unhappy, and then my other half showed up and now I'm whole. And that's actually codependency. Y'all are putting glitter on shit. A person should be whole on their own. You should be 100% on your own. You should be able to take care of yourself. You should be happy as an individual before you enter into a relationship with somebody else, because whatever broken parts that you have are only going to attach themselves to the other person's broken parts. So essentially, I feel like you shouldn't have changed the ending to make everybody feel happy. No, tell the truth. Tell the truth about what happened. I was insecure and had to keep, having these disingenuous arguments with this woman that I'm madly in love with because I don't feel that I'm worthy of her. And she wants me, but the world tells her that she should be with somebody that looks better, has more than I have, even if emotionally they can't offer her as much as I can. Because to be clear, what I noticed, the differences between Lee and Michael that I never noticed before was neither of them were good choices. It made it seem like Lee was a good choice because Lee actually loved her and cared about her in this deep way that even though he did not have her, he still forsaked everybody else. He didn't want anybody else but her. Like, then you have Michael that's showing her all of this love and admiration outwardly, but he cheats on her and will fuck anything that's in the room with him, always needing all of this, validation from outside sources. Neither one of them were good choices, because essentially Lee couldn't show up confident enough to outwardly express the love he felt internally towards her. That's why Michael was able to get her. And I think a part of that is because Michael he wasn't actually emotionally invested. There was really no real fear that he would lose her because he would be able to find another one just as quickly. So he can act like he's feeling away. He can do all of this begging because he knows it's not really connected to anything inside of him versus Lee, who it actually is connected to my feelings. So I can't be begging you and doing all of this shit because then you'll take advantage of how much I feel about you. The difference in how they were understanding things, how they were treating Haviland. But if I'm Haviland, at the end of the day, this man says he loves me, yes, but he cheats on me and is always begging me. He's showing me everything, but then also it's not matching. And then you got this one over here that I know loves me because I see it, but he talks to me crazy sometimes and has to consistently humble me and tell me how he don't like my personality, but he's in love with me. In both situations, Haviland is the object of these men's desires. And if she doesn't give them what they want or respond the way they want her to respond, it kind of makes them a victim. Not necessarily makes her a bad guy, but it makes them a victim. Where at the end of the day, Michael was not entitled to her forgiveness as far as her coming back and being with him after everything he did. And Lee, you're not entitled to her being with you simply because you feel like your emotions are more genuine than Michael's. You see what I'm saying? Like y'all are both coming at her fucked up in one way or another. And surprised about the way that what she really starts to value in these situations is the fact that these men want her. Not because of how they actually treat her or how they actually feel about her, but more so valuing how they can show her how much they want her. That's what starts to be the value for her. Because you love me but can't show it. You really don't love me that much, but you show it. So what am I supposed to do with that? In that, I can only start to appreciate what I know is real, which is that y'all desire me. And I'm going to get all of my feels off of y'all desiring me. So I'm going to keep punishing Michael because he desires me when he's sorry. And I'm going to keep my distance from you because as long as you don't have me, you will always want me. That's what I've come to, girl. That's what I've come to. But if we were being whole human beings, like the quote says at the beginning, knowing God, knowing ourselves, loving ourselves to a certain extent, if we were coming to our partners a little bit more whole, then Haviland wouldn't have needed to feel wanted by those men because she would already be that. I don't need y'all to want me like that. I want me. I like me. I don't need to get high off of the emptiness of y'all's desire for me. With Michael would have been real enough to say, I love you. I appreciate you. Well, not I love you, but I enjoy you. I like being with you, but I don't want to be monogamous. I don't want to be in a monogamous relationship. I can do all of this other shit, but I'm going to do my thing out here. And that's just who I am. That would have been him showing up more whole, being honest with her about who he is and just letting her know she either going to accept it or she's not. Lee being more whole would have been, first of all, him not needing her financially for anything, him not constantly being kind of like a hater type of nigga because he wouldn't be hating on what other people had going on, right? He would have looked better and his confidence would have gave him a little bit more of a push to treat her kindly. But because he had no confidence within himself, it was low-key hard for Lee to be nice to Haviland. He'd do shit for her. But as far as conversation was concerned, I know what it's like to be around men that like you, but they look for an opportunity to throw a slug your way every now and again because they have to remind themselves not to like you in some way. And also they enjoy the tension of the banter, right? So if he was coming to her a little bit more whole, that his insecurities wouldn't have been such a turnoff. You see what I'm saying? And yes, it also very much made him a victim. At the end of the day, Haviland shouldn't have been with a man who cheated on her, but she also shouldn't be with a broke man that is mean to her sometimes because he's miserable because he don't have his shit together. She didn't need to be with neither one of them niggas. And to be honest, him feeling like she only wanted him because of his success is an extension about how a lot of you niggas feel. Instead of viewing it, you really have to change your perspective. Look at other things to be able to tell if a woman actually cares about you. And to me, the fact that Haviland let that nigga live and, stay at her house, she was doing for him when he had nothing. She was being there for him as a friend when he had nothing. To me, I feel like on some level that means she actually did care about him as a person. So it's not just about the money. Because I actually was there for you when you didn't have shit. But now that you do have shit, you are more attractive as a romantic partner to me. Why should she be looked down upon for that? And that's the way it was framed. It was framed like we should view her as the gold digger because, or not even as a gold digger, but as being disingenuous, not really caring about him. Kind of the same thing that she did when they was laying in the bed together. She was going use a little carrot to get him and then snatch his wealth away or something. I don't know. It doesn't seem as if that would really be her way. She got her own money, make her own ends. That wasn't it. It was really about, I can't be with somebody that's not going to at least come to the situation with what I have. That's the basis of that. And I think that he, as a lot of rich men do, will then internalize their insecurities around that and just automatically assume that any woman that's there is there because they have money. Versus recognizing how you are an unlikable person when you're unhappy with yourself. And when you don't have anything, you're unhappy with yourself. Instead of judging her or being mad at her because she didn't want you when you had nothing. Like, you weren't a good person to be with at that time. You really should have had to go on your own and get your shit together all on your own so that you can come back to this woman as a man that built this by himself, that can say, I can stand on my own 2 feet. I'm an addition to what you have. Because she already had her shit. Haviland already had a good job. Haviland already had, access in the hookup. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely feel like unless he was able to deal with that, he would punish her for that. He would long term punish her for being the object of his desires, finally getting her, and then also feeling like, but bitch, you made me work so hard to get you. And why did I have to be this in order to get you? So it might end up in divorce anyway. Okay. But I love this movie. It's still one of my favorite ones. I still feel like it speaks on how women are not always attracted just to a man's money, no matter what y'all niggas is online talking about, because that nigga didn't have anything. And there were at least four women during this movie that tried to fuck him. And it was because he was smart and intelligent and can carry a good conversation. It was well read and actually sat and thought and was, he was introspective. He thought about himself. He thought about his life. The writing and journaling, everything made him see it clearly, made him look at things a little bit more clearly than everybody else around him. So of course he had more value than how much money he made, but he didn't feel that way. He didn't feel that way. He did not act that way. And therefore, being poor in spirit means you don't get the girl. You just don't. Other nigga is poor in moral compass. Eventually, he didn't get the girl either. Thank God. She would have had an STD and a whole bunch of outside babies to contend with. I think Haviland made the best decision for herself. And I think that was the best thing for her to do. Neither one of y'all are good options for me right now. I'm going to fuck with one of y'all until I'm tired. And if you get your shit together, hopefully we'll get another time to meet again. But a lot of men feel like, no, if she didn't want you back then fuck her. And it's like, well, fuck you too, nigga, because that's not how life works. When we met the first time, we weren't aligned. We might be a little bit better suited at this point. But if you're insecure about not being picked the first time around, you're going to miss the second opportunity. You're going to miss the second opportunity. So we'll see, y'all. We'll see. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying we'll see how it plays out. Like there's more to come. But honestly, it would have been so great to see how this all worked out. And because it's a real story, I actually would love to hear from Christopher Scott about how this worked out. Like, are you still friends with her? Did y'all ever get back together? Did y'all ever talk? Like, what happened? Because it's a true story that happened to him. So I would really like to know how it worked out and if y'all ever talked again after the movie came out. Bondy, you're excellent at what you do. I am thoroughly enjoying your review of a movie I really didn't care for. Totally agree with you and Dr. These. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I could be his friend, but not his lover until he got himself together. Same. And I think most smart women have those types of relationships. Like, I don't know about y'all, but like when I was growing up, you have a whole bunch of not a whole bunch, but a good little, section of good dudes that's smart and you have fun with them. But something about them means they are not a romantic option for you. This is really good, Bondy. Now I want to watch the movie. Y'all should. Amen. A lot of women are whole, but will take in a broken man. You better say that. Yes. Yes. Super sticker. Thank you, DeQuasia. Thank you. Tamara. Thank you. Thank you. Naturally, LC. Thank you. Bondy, is something about the eye contact. Ain't it though? Ain't it though? Listen. That's why I don't make eye contact because I know what my eyes do. When they all on one accord and shit. Okay. I know what my eyes do. Yeah, y'all should go back and rewatch it. But thank y'all so much for coming through today. This is one of my favorite Now That We're Growns that I've done. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank y'all so much. Share it, comment, let me know what y'all thought. Let me know what parts of y'all favorite parts of the movie. And the next Now That We're Grown will be I Like It Like That. And I'm not exactly sure when I'm gonna come out with it, but it probably will be next week. Since I did one this week, I'll probably hold that one for next week sometime. Because I still have to watch and make the notes. But yeah. I have to go watch Married to Medicine. Do y'all still? I know y'all want a Married to Medicine review, so I gotta go watch that, and I might come back later this evening with that. Okay, I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Have a good rest of y'all day, and see y'all in the next.